Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's so good to have you here again. If it's your first time, please do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button so you can be a member of my village. So today I brought forward people's reaction to the National Association for Black Journalists, where Donald Trump was interviewed basically by three black journalists, female journalists, who had very much, in my opinion, really good questions and really great topics. I applaud these black women for their questions, their courage, and how they did not waver or even bat an eye. So, like always, a lot of people on TikTok and a lot of Republicans and Democrats alike had something to say regarding this matter. And I know for someone who says that is not into politics and who doesn't have a party, I sure love to watch people's interactions with politics. I really, really do. So with that being said, I brought it upon myself to bring you guys a couple of reactions, skits, and just people's point of view regarding their opinion, both good and bad, regarding this interview or whatever you want to call it, convention, whatever, meeting, I don't know. People had so much to say regarding this situation, and I'm so glad. Again, I am so proud of how far we have gotten as people, because I'm starting to notice we're not taking the okie doke anymore. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you yourself are still convinced that anyone that are running for president has your best interest at heart. Really, really. So let me know what you guys think. I am super excited to see the comments on this one. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you on my next video.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country. Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and you know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln? That's my answer.
This afternoon, Donald Trump spoke at the annual meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists. And it was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better. The American people deserve better. The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us. They are an essential source of our strength. So I say to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom.
You've got to see this. Donald Trump's interview at the National Association of Black Journalists went so poorly that his handlers cut the interview off early and stopped journalist Rachel Scott from asking Donald Trump any more questions. Look at this.
In your job.
Project 2025. I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team. All right. So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well, FYI, Donald Trump was scheduled to speak for a whole hour, yet his handlers pulled him off the stage after 35 minutes. That conference was an absolute train wreck for Donald Trump. He attacked the host several times. He questioned whether or not Kamala Harris was black and then threw her ethnicity into question. The guy is incapable of sitting in a real interview and answering real questions from a real journalist, and boy, he just put his incompetence and racism on full display.
Your reaction to what we saw?
My reaction is that it was a complete, absolute dumpster fire for the former president. I don't feel the need to give him any credit for showing up there because he came with a terrible attitude. He hit all of his regular hits, lying about his record for black Americans. The comparison saying he's done the most for the black community since Abraham Lincoln is obviously ridiculous. Unemployment is lower for black Americans under Joe Biden than Donald Trump. Everybody knows that. Even Donald Trump knows that. People have told him. He just won't stop. I thought that he was rude and offensive to the questioners. I don't think, in response to what Joe was saying, that asking him, for instance, about calling Kamala Harris a DEI hire is going into debate mode. This is who his opponent is, and then his response that she used to be Indian and is now somehow black was offensive no matter the color of their skin.
All right, look, she has an Indian mother and a Jamaican father.
Right,
I don't know why we have to. But she has an Indian mother and a black father. So those are two different backgrounds. You know, this is. I just want to back up for a second here.
He did crap the bed today. The only question is whether he's going to roll around in it or get up and change his sheets.
That's a good question. What do you think?
My advice would be get up and change your sheets and do what your campaign is doing. The campaign knows how to prosecute the case, okay? They're on the air with it to the tune of millions of dollars on her policy record. That's what they should be doing. This is not going to end the way he wants it to end. There's a better way to do this, and they know what to do, but it's on him to do it. It's on him to do it. My strong advice is to perform.
Look, everybody...
Well, it was a darn good thing he did, because that interview was the single most effective encounter that the press has had with Donald Trump since this election season began. And it was because the journalists, 3 African-American women, actually asked questions he did not like, and they followed up with them. I know, what a concept. For example, Rachel Scott of ABC began the interview by reciting all the racist things that he had said, which of course put him on edge, and she reminded him that she was simply quoting what he said. We had another reporter who, after Trump made the very familiar but incredibly false and misguided statement that Democrats are in favor of abortions after birth, which is nonsensical, of course.
It's very simple. The National Association of Black Journalists, the reason why they were 35 minutes late is because they thought Trump would just use that as a reason to leave. He's not scared of you.
I don't have words. Whoever the person is that set Donald Trump up to go in front of the National Association of Black Journalists today, I don't know if I should say bravo or what. I don't know, because that was a disaster. Like, under any other circumstance, that's campaign ending. That under any other campaign, it's tanked after that. Somebody's most certainly fired, because he got on stage and insulted everyone, from the crowd to the journalists interviewing him, to women in general, to black and brown people. Everyone caught it. Like, it was historic how bad that went. Whoever signed him up for that, again, that type of interview, the Trump campaign may be the only campaign that can survive that. If you ever needed a real insight into what powers the Trump campaign, misogyny and racism. And that was on full display today. Wow. In 1990, my grandmother took me to Austin to watch the inaugural parade for Ann Richards. She was the last Democratic governor I remember in Texas. I think she may have been the last one, period. But she beat Clayton Williams. Clayton Williams was an outspoken racist, and people just couldn't stomach voting for him, and that's how Ann Richards won. I think right after that, she lost to George W. Bush. Clayton Williams in Texas tanked an election in 1990 because he was a racist. In 2024, Donald Trump gives an interview like that. And I'm assuming one of the journalists on stage with him was from Fox, and I guess maybe they thought that she would kind of shield him and lob him some softballs. She didn't have anything. They, as my grandmother said, they chewed him up one side and down the other. If you are black and American and you are planning on voting for Donald Trump, you are what my grandmother would call a new fool.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
and
you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty.
You invited me to the National NABJ. I call it NABJ, much easier. I'm very good at spelling, very good at pronouncing things. I'm very good. I love coming to things like this because there's so many beautiful black queens. You guys like to say Queens. I'm from Queens. There's a lot of black, beautiful women. I've dated many of them. You cannot say that I don't like black people. I love black people so much. Had a lot of black girlfriends. Well, I didn't tell anybody. And I'm going to tell you, you were very rude. Your questions are very terrible, very rude, very stupid. You could have said hello. You could have said, "What's up, homie? It's all good. How you living?" You know, the different words that you guys use in your jargon. You could have done a little bit of jivey thing. Could have given me dap, the little tricky handshakes. I could have gotten that, but you didn't. You asked me a very stupid question. I didn't like it. It was very pathetic. It was very pathetic. I was very, very disappointed. It was terrible. The migrants are taking over all the black jobs. They're taking them all over. It's pretty pathetic.
What are black jobs? What are black jobs?
Jobs that are people that are black, that they have jobs. They're the jobs that black people have. The jobs. Any job that black people have. I mean, Obama had a white job. He had a white job. He took that job. It was a white man's job, and he took it, and it became a black job. And that's what Kamala Harris is trying to do. He's trying to make president a black job again. That's what it is, a black job. Excuse me, Mr. President, do you even know what the conference of NABJ stands for? Of course I do. I know. That's why I'm here. That's why you invited me. It stands for the National Association for Black Jobs. Plain and simple, plain and simple.
An epic meltdown from the ex-president this afternoon, speaking with 3 journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Chicago. A conversation that imploded right before our very eyes on live TV, essentially right out of the gates. Trump immediately breaking into a tirade against the first moderator, Rachel Scott of ABC News, who asked him about his past comments on race. And then Trump questioned Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. It's amazing he's gotten away with that for as long as he has, but it appears to be over. The 35-minute conversation was like that basically throughout. It remained contentious. Trump even defended his black jobs comment in a room full of black journalists. Vice President Kamala Harris's response to all of this: absolute disaster for Donald Trump. This is who he is. A source close to Vice President Harris tells NBC News in response to Trump's claim that she, quote, became black, quote, it is simply a lie and easily disproved. She went to Howard, for Christ's sake. She's an AKA, referring, of course, to the historically African-American sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was in the middle of her briefing when Trump's comments were taking place. She first laughed in shock.
So I'm in the airport on my way to Cleveland, but usually I would be at NABJ, but SummerSlam and NABJ conflicted this year. So for those who are going and didn't get a chance to break it through glass ceilings episode, but we'll do this real quick in less than 60 seconds. Donald Trump is going to be there. A lot of people upset. And my thing is this, NABJ is having a responsibility to do journalism, so I can understand. I also understand he's a different candidate, but here's what I'll say. Don't let it ruin your trip. If you don't believe he should be there, fine. Just don't go. Nobody's making you go to the part of the convention. Do I think he's going to try to flip the black vote? Absolutely. That's what I think we'll see. But will he? I don't know. It's going to be up to those interviewing to call him out on all the BS. Will they do it? Only time will tell.
NABJ got played. What happened here was exactly what we said was going to happen. First and foremost, when he, at the outset, insulted Rachel Scott, the leadership of this organization should have stood up and said, stop this discussion right now. You are not going to insult a member of this organization like you have insulted April Ryan, Jamel Hill, and Yamiche Alcindor. I don't care if it's president's candidate. When you do not let someone do that, Rachel Scott held her own. She was good. Harris Faulkner had no business sitting on that stage. Fox News paid a $787 million judgment to advance his lies. Fox News should have never been on that stage. That man was rude. He was disrespectful. He did not answer questions. And what happened here was exactly what we told NABJ was going to happen. He played us. He got exactly what he wanted. And so the clips are going to be played. And did he answer questions that relate to African Americans? Hell no. Did he answer questions about black maternal rates? No. Did he answer questions about HBCUs? No. Did he answer questions about black unemployment and black economics? No. That was a travesty that we just witnessed on this stage.
What's the question you would like?
Thank you to Rachel Scott for doing what needed to be done.
I thought 2 things about today. I don't like it particularly when you're driven solely by emotion. So by getting the conversation tipped off, by making it so emotional and so personal with one journalist and one interviewee, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same. It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically.
He is a candidate, so I'm going to be super careful. Wait, no, hold on. I have more to say. I certainly have more to say. As a person of color, as a black woman who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me, is repulsive, it's insulting, and you know, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. Only she can speak to what it's like. She's the only person that can do that. It's insulting for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a former leader, a former president. It is insulting. And we have to put, she is the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. We have to put some respect on her name.
Okay, so now the people are all up in arms because Kamala has decided with the National Association of Black Journalism or journalists that she cannot attend their event or whatever. However, Don has accepted and said he will be there to speak. But everybody's like, oh, you know, Kamala, she's supposed to this for black people and all the things. First of all, let's talk about the journalists that are going to be there. The ones that are signed on are not of any black publications. They're black people at media relations departments, but they are not of black publications. Let's start there. But however, she did say, look, I can either come at a later date or I can do this virtually. And everybody's like, oh, you know, this is supposed to be for black people. First of all, y'all, in this fake outrage, y'all just knew about this little event before now. And let's not act like he has not declined in the past. He needs the black vote. So that's, of course, he's going to be there for that. Because again, like I said, he needs to garner the black vote. Not going to get it, but whatever. There's a few of y'all. That's fine. Anyways, people don't realize what her prior engagement is. She is speaking at Sheila Jackson Lee's funeral services. And again, we've already talked about who Sheila Jackson Lee is. If you do not know, please, by all means, educate yourself. And do not be out here being ignorant because, baby, that little event, and as I did, I said that little event doesn't even hold a candle to her being at this woman who was a major contributor to people and black people. She absolutely needs to be at this event. And let's be real, as a former president, he needs to be at that event. But again, here y'all go with the fake outrage and go, oh, he's out here supporting black people. That's where he needs to be at, and not this little event over here. I said what I said.
Donald Trump's campaign against Kamala Harris has so far been an absolute disaster. And that is so surprising because he has made his whole political fortune off of being able to brand his opponents. But every attempt he has made to try to brand her has failed spectacularly. So take, for instance, this appearance he made at NABJ in Chicago, where he tried to claim that Kamala Harris had never been black, that she had always identified as Southeast Asian, and she'd only converted to being black recently, presumably for some sort of political benefit. There's two things to remember about this. One is Donald Trump was trying to Elizabeth Warren Kamala Harris. He was trying to use basically the Pocahontas idea against Kamala Harris. He was trying to say that someone who had some level of privilege had chosen to identify with a minority status because it would give them some sort of benefit in the world. The problem with that is that it just doesn't work in the case of Kamala Harris. Not only is it a lie, she's always identified as a black woman, but there is no political constituency to which the argument makes sense, right? So yes, there might have been some constituency against Elizabeth Warren who would say, you're a white person like me, how dare you try to pretend to be somebody else in order to get, some equity benefit. What benefit would Kamala Harris get from identifying as black rather than as Asian in America? I don't understand what the point of what he was saying was. Additionally, polls have been saying over and over and over again that larger percentages of black people might in fact consider voting for him. Well, he just killed that. Even if it were black men, because those black men don't want to see you beating up on a black woman. Like, it doesn't work on any level. So that's the number one problem. Number two is that because he's so desperate right now, he's digging back into his old beliefs and his old mindset. In 1989, 35 years ago, Donald Trump was saying on national TV on a special about race that if he had to do over again, his dream would be to be an educated black. He didn't use plural, an educated black. Because in his mind, black people were then and are now get advantages because they're black. That is why he did not answer the DEI question that the moderator asked him at NABJ when she asked whether or not he would tell his supporters to stop saying that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire. Donald Trump, for 35 years at least, has believed that every educated black person was in fact a DEI hire. DEI for them is just a substitute for affirmative action, which is just a term of art for getting something you don't deserve because you're an oppressed group or that people think that you're an oppressed group. The entire campaign so far between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is extraordinary. The Harris campaign has orchestrated this almost flawlessly. The Trump campaign has been a disaster.